Okay, so this trip is really flying in now, actually. Or this life. We have just about spent a month in Lima, Peru, a city we first visited a year and a bit ago and just knew we had to come back. A lot of people come and visit Lima and they maybe stay here for a few nights, they go to Cusco, they maybe travel to the Amazon, and they go and do a bunch of kind of other renowned things to do in Peru and maybe don't spend as much time in Lima. But we love it here, and yeah, this video is just going to be a bit about some of the fun things we got up to. Lima is a massive metropolis of a city with a population of around 13 million, some say 11 million, although the taxi drivers have told me 13, so I'm going to take their word for it. It lies in Peru's central coast, right along the Pacific Ocean. The Rimac River also runs through it as well. And what you'll notice from a lot of pictures from Lima, or if you ever visit, is that if you ever photograph the city in the morning or towards the evening, there's this kind of cloud over the city, this mist. And you actually notice it when you fly and land here as well. It's bizarre. You sort of feel like you're still 20,000 feet in the air, and then you're like that and you land because you're going through this very low mist. And the reason for that is because of this thing called the Humboldt current, which brings a kind of cold, like nutrient-rich water, and it passes Lima, which is in this kind of desert climate. So we see this kind of dry area and the contrast between the cold water and the hot air, which is further kind of suppressed and pushed in by the Andes Mountains, which begin in the north or the east part of Lima, means that this mist kind of gets trapped. And then when it gets very hot during the day and the ground heats up, the contrast kind of stops and the surface of the water heats up, and it's kind of reasonably blue skies like it is at the minute. And then eventually when the ground begins to cool down again, the mist comes back. So Lima's got a very rich history. There were early settlements here in the BCE years, from the year like 3000 to 1800. And then a famous culture, a famous tribe known as the Lima culture existed in what we now know as Lima for several years. We visit in this video a thing called the Pucllana, this kind of ancient sort of temple built by the Lima culture and then eventually taken over by different cultures and different tribes people. They basically flourished in the Rimac Valley. They had this center for discussing things, for planning. They used the river and the sea as ways to create crops, built these large pyramids and canals. Very advanced people for this era, and it's great that you can go and see this Pucllana site in what is now modern Miraflores. So you see this Pucllana building surrounded by high rises, surrounded by modernity, and you get to see this old kind of relic and piece of Peruvian history. Though a relatively short-lived empire, I think when people think of Peru, often they think of Machu Picchu, which of course was constructed by the Inca Empire, who came into sort of more broad power of Peru in the late 15th century. So a lot of time after the Lima culture, there was of course many different tribes kind of in power and involved in Lima in between those years. But the Inca Empire, of course, this famous empire that built Machu Picchu and many other kind of wonderful things in Peru, led by Capac the emperor, were known for their ability to create kind of roads and infrastructure and in the Andes Mountains, this kind of very difficult thing to accomplish. And they kind of took this road system and administrative control to the region of Lima as well, and they took over this area too. As I alluded to already, it was short-lived, the Inca Empire. The emperor died and he left power for both of his sons. The two sons wanted all of the power. They had a civil war. This kind of weakened the Inca Empire, and at a similar time the Spanish came over, who were much more advanced than the Incas, and this kind of segregated nature of the empire with its strong emperor gone meant that the Spanish took over Lima, took over Peru, and took over most of the continent with relative ease, because of course the Inca Empire wasn't just solely in Peru as a lot of people think of it now. They stretched up into Ecuador as well. Okay, so you'll see a lot of similar cultural similarities in Peru, in the Andes regions, between here and Ecuador, Bolivia even as well. So now we're into the Spanish Empire, and we're talking 1535 here is when Francisco Pizarro, the Spanish conqueror, founded Lima. This was on the 18th of January 1535, and he actually coined it La Ciudad de los Reyes, the City of Kings. Okay, so it was a very important center for Spain's empire on this continent. It became the kind of capital of the viceroyalty of Peru, basically like the political, economic and religious hub of the whole of South America for the Spaniards. There is loads and loads of incredible sites in Barranco and in the Colonial Centre in Lima that is worth just walking through and taking in. One specific one is the Convent of San Francisco, which we also visit in this video. You're not allowed to video on anything inside, but there's a catacomb section where you can look where they basically buried the elite Spaniards and government and so on underneath this cathedral. It's built in such a way that it doesn't get affected by earthquakes, because Lima is a place that suffers from a lot of earthquakes. It's also got, you know, renowned art inside. One particular painting of Pizarro after he's dead. Okay, so you can see him dead and they did the painting after it. Loads of gold, treasures, all this kind of thing. So I definitely recommend going there. There's also the Plaza Mayor Cathedral of Lima, these kind of centres of colonial power. And you can see that Baroque style architecture when you get in there. But you can also see the kind of Peruvian charm in the buildings as well. It's not just the same as going to Ecuador or Dominican Republic or whatever, because of course they used local Peruvian workers, and it kind of shows in the different building style compared to somewhere like Quito, for example. So after years of Spanish rule, like in many countries in Latin America, in 1821 we see a push for independence, and Peru officially declares independence from Spain in 1821. Lima becomes, you know, a capital city in its own right, not a mere extension of the Spanish Empire. In the mid-1800s, so the mid-19th century, we see another kind of crucial development for Lima and for Peru. We see the gold rush, okay, which saw thousands of Chinese labourers arrive in the 1840s onwards to work in like coastal agriculture and rail construction, raise kind of global demand for labour. And of course, in other videos, we're going to go on kind of food tours and eat a lot of food. And not only did this lead to a lot of infrastructure getting built, it led to a distinct and very unique profile of kind of local food and gastronomy. So the Chinese migration, the mass nature of it, meant that Peruvian food has this hint and streak of kind of Chinese cuisine through it, which is kind of unlike anything I've ever seen in another country, because it's embedded within their national dishes. That so many of them settled in Lima, and they actually founded a barrio, Barrio Chino, which is very close to the Colonial Centre, and it's one of the oldest Chinatowns in Latin America. So Lima today is a mix of indigenous, European, African and Asian cultures. Someone on one of our recent videos, when I was talking about the diversity when it comes to food, described Lima as like the melting pot of Peru, right? You know, there's diversity everywhere in Peru, but Lima is the kind of beacon of that and the main kind of centre of this hub of different cultures, different languages, that kind of thing. Barranco?
Yeah, shall we walk to Barranco?
Yeah, sure. Barranco is like over, yeah, because that's the sand dunes, it's like over there. It's like the,
cold, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty breezy. It's like it's like the artsy neighbourhood, isn't it? So it's got loads of street art. It used to be a separate town. It used to be a fishing town, and now it's like joined onto Lima.
Alright, either.
Yeah. Loads of nice buildings. It's, you know, it looks like if you'd never been to Lima or didn't know anything about it, you'd think it was like the centre, wouldn't you? Because where all the bars are.
Loads of nice cafes.
It's known for its street art, cafes, bars. Yeah, the bridge is
nice
called the Bridge of Sighs. But apparently, I thought it meant like a bad thing, but apparently it's because you're meant to hold your breath when you cross it and make a wish. So you sigh from relief when you go over the bridge.
Oh wait, it's the Bridge of Sighs in English.
Yes. Suspiros is sighs in Spanish.
I thought that was the Spanish word.
No, because then it wouldn't be bridge. It would be puente, wouldn't it?
Well, I just thought you were saying it that bit.
Okay. Yeah, so the Bridge of Sighs, or Puente de los Suspiros, I think it is, or Suspiros. It's because you make a wish when you cross it, and then you release it. I was always drinking that like that. Today, we're going to go into the historic centre. We were meant to be going to the Pucllana. It's closed on Tuesdays, man, so there's a bit of info for you. But anyway, so it's closed on Tuesdays, the Pucllana, so we're going to go into the historical centre where all the Spanish buildings were, or are, when the Spanish took over. So it's called the Convent of San Francisco, is that church with the catacombs and stuff, right?
Catacombs underneath, yeah.
So it's got like art galleries and stuff. So basically when the Spanish took over in the 1530s, they made Peru like the capital of their whole South American like empire. So they've got like loads of Spanish like Baroque style buildings in the city centre, and one of them is San Francisco like church. It's got art and stuff, and then it's got the catacombs underneath, I assume.
It's like just behind the Paris ones. They're absolutely huge.
Is it? And yeah, apparently it's where all like the elite like Spanish like clergymen and like aristocrats were buried during the time of the Spanish Empire. And then around it there's loads of other like famous attractions as well. The only thing about Lima is, I mentioned it in another video, on the Quito one, is like they have like earthquakes like very frequently. There was a huge one in 16 something, which was after all these buildings were built. These buildings were built in like the mid 16th century, and then in the 17th century they had a huge earthquake. So apparently a lot of them have been like continually what's the word? Restored. Refurbished. Makes it sound like a fucking a new build. It's quite strange as well. There's that one with all the wooden panels in the city centre.
Speaking of earthquakes, apparently there's these like really, really deep wells in the catacombs that were there to protect the building from earthquakes.
Ah, that's interesting, because they managed to like structure buildings back then, so much so that a bunch of these have fallen down because of earthquakes, but they're still standing in the city centre. So we're going to go in the city centre, go into that Convent of San Francisco and have a look around anyway. But
sometimes.
San Francisco. Have a guess what the Spanish conqueror's name was?
Was it Sonny
Francisco Pizarro.
Nice one.
Catacombas. Alright, where are we going? Nice little garden, bro.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty decent, eh?
Yeah, it was good.
What you got?
It's not good enough Spanish to understand most of it, but...
I took a Spanish tour because it was early, but you can enjoy it without a tour. You've got to do a tour to go in.
Yeah. It was cool.
She gave a student discount as well, so what was it? It was only
20 soles each.
20 soles. See loads of like crazy artwork. You see the catacombs as well.
Yeah, the catacombs were pretty crazy.
But yeah, but you can't take yeah, they don't let you take photos of anything, so that's why there'll be like a 4-second video of a garden and nothing else.
Yeah.
But it is worth it. I kind of like that. Like, it's annoying, but I like how it makes you more intrigued to see what's inside when you do that. It must be because it's so like religious.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why did they say that? Like, in a photo?
I think it must be the religious element of it. Maybe to try and get more people in.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of like Spanish art religious art from that period when they took over. Photos of like the conqueror Francisco, photos of him after, like a painting of him after he died and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So pretty interesting. Time for more food, but. So we're in the Plaza de las Armas, Historical Centre, Peru. That's like the Metropolitan Cathedral of Lima. I think that's like the palace up there. Government building. So what's that, Ella?
Congress. That's where the riots were happening last week.
So yeah.
In front of it, right here.
So most of these were built by the Spanish. And they had power over here in the Colonial Centre. Lovely evening. Just about to cloud over, I'd imagine. Anyway, so we're going to the Pucllana. We were going to go yesterday, but it's closed on Tuesdays. It's just closed for an hour or so, and then it opens back up again at 6:45. It's basically just this kind of ancient religious site. It was thought to have been built in like around 200 of the Common Era by the Lima culture. So there's these people who existed along the coast in Peru, basically, thousands of years ago. They built it, and do you remember what I was telling you why it's such a weird shape?
Yes, it's because that helps it prevent it from being destroyed by earthquakes.
Yeah, so even back then they were aware that this was like a place that had a lot of earthquakes, whatever they thought they were. So they built it so it's almost like a bookshelf.
Isn't it like steps?
Yeah, but it's rows. It looks like rows of books. Is what I mean. But basically for this culture it was like part of it was like a place where they would meet and like discuss stuff, which is quite mad to think of in the year 200. Like they describe it as like an administrative capital, and then the other half was like a religious site where apparently they made a lot of like human sacrifices. And then another culture in like the year 700 took over it, the Wari culture, and they used it much more as like a religious symbol. And various other empires, tribes took it over from then, and then it got abandoned just before the Incas took over Peru. And it sort of was left dormant for a while, but it's still standing. And then, 100 years ago or something, they like restored it. I remember that word from the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Excavated it and stuff like that. So yeah, really historical piece of Peru, really. And it's strange because it's literally this building, thousands of years old, built in the year 200, and it's in the middle of Miraflores, which is this like big metropolis, all these kind of skyscrapers, like penthouses, right? And it's literally just going to be in amongst it, so we'll go and find it. But yeah, it should be pretty good. I actually think there might even be more skeletons and dead bodies. We're going on a bit of a skeleton dead body tour.
Oh yeah.
So the Huaca Pucllana, it's called Pucllana in Miraflores.
Seguimos con la siguiente parte de la visita.
So bookshelves, just like I said.
So are you saying like the it's almost like those vertical bricks help it to not fall down from earthquakes? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's why they built it like that.
Vamos a ver otro ritual. Aparte del banquete o la cocina, tenemos también este ritual llamado rompimiento de cerámica. ¿Sí? La idea es agua. Su símbolo o hijo quizás fue el siguiente. En la excavación da la casualidad que se ha encontrado cartílago y dientes de niño.
Here we have the pyramids, and then normal city, bro.
Cool view from balcony up there.
Yeah. It's just quite mad, isn't it? So, constructed in 200 CE and constructed in 2014 CE. Alright, I'm off down to Lima Beach, Lima Coast of Miraflores to surf. It's apparently a lot colder. There's the Humboldt current, some current from the Arctic that makes the water very cold, so we'll see how that goes. Right, what's happening? Sweaty boy after a run. Basically, I just wanted to mention that I went surfing down on Playa Macaya with a H. Nice beach, a lot of surf schools down there, as there is in like loads of different beaches in Lima. It's literally down Miraflores and the kind of nice swanky bit of Lima. And I went specifically to Mahalo Surf School. It's a big yellow sign, I'll put a photo up of it. I would just recommend them because the guys are really nice. When we were surfing in Manca, the guys could be like quite intense, which I didn't mind too much, but you know, put Ella off a little bit. They like scream, they seem to get a bit annoyed if you fuck up. You know, whereas it was a lot more fun and like calm and chill at this one. So Mahalo Surf School I'd recommend. It's like 80 sols for a group lesson or 100 for a one-on-one. Both are good. Group lesson gives you a bit more of a break. But yeah, I thought I'd just mention them because that's where I went. Hi Katie. So I was trying to run again. What were we about? 3k maybe? 2 and a bit k through Park Kennedy. So almost down in the water, thankfully.
I know, that was kind of pretty cool.
Just coming up to Miraflores here, this famous bridge. Doggy. No, gracias. Nope. Never sure about that statue, man. No, gracias. So this is the Parque del Amor, is that what they call it? The Love Park. So there's some big fucking monstrosity up there.
Of course, you take me to the Love Park.
2 big fat people humping. And then a bunch of other shit. But nice view. You can see all the surfer dudes. Oh.
shaggers.
No, gracias. So there's two completely normal people here making love. What's your theory? Why do you think it's the love part? Like, do you think they just made it up? Or there must be a reason for it,
yeah, probably. I think they just love shagging.
Right.
Sure.
I know, I'm just wondering why here? Is it just because it's like a nice, beautiful spot?
Maybe somebody important shagged here. Always upside down.
The rest of it. I don't know why. I was going to call it Bridge of Sighs, but that's the one in Barranco.
We're on a bridge. The bridge with no name it's called.
Yeah. Okay. Another gorgeous one over there. Millions of the cunts. Hey, buddy. So funny how it oh, it's a panther. Oh my god, these are fat. Used to. Look how fat those two are, man. Eh? These are enjoying the picarones, huh? Wow.
I'm gonna turn into that woman in that documentary, man. Oh my god. Why are you not getting any of that? Hey?
Just look at the size of Big Jimmy, man. Oh my god, you're scary. Barranco's the gaffer street art, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But yeah, Lima's Lima's got us Tupac next to it. Oh, yeah. So Ramesh Ranganathan used to do this show like called Hip Hop Saved My Life.
Does he not still do it?
Oh, maybe. But I remember I listened to one with Frankie Boyle, and he actually talks about like a theory about how Biggie and Tupac just faked their death so they could go and be like gay lovers together. Mm-hmm. But he actually brings like evidence, like he treats it like he treats it like a PhD thesis. Do you know what I mean? You're actually quite convinced by the end of it.
Well,
so
maybe that's what that artwork is.
Yeah, well that's what I was thinking. They're next to each other, but it's just funny. You know what I mean?
Out here in Peru.
It's not like a bit of patter. It's like the whole content for the 30-minute episode is quite funny. Right. So where are we going today? What area?
Pueblo Libre.
What does that mean? Translate.
Free village.
Freetown. Because when San Martin, the Argentinian man, Abel, that's his name, isn't it?
Abel.
Told us about, when he emancipated Bolivia, Argentina and Peru from the Spanish, he named it Freetown because the people worked so hard to get Peruvian independence, basically. So that's what it's named after. There's a famous museum called the Larco Museum, loads of like pre-Columbian art.
He's got dark eyes.
There's a perfect sculpture of Ella in here.
I was going to say the same name.
That's some titties.
Where? What's up? Just looking at some pottery. Apparently, if you had your ears pierced and body paint and a deformed head, you were a high-ranking woman.
Don't understand why Pizarro's on it. So this is Pizarro, the guy who conquered South America from the Incas.
He's got dark eyes.